Bulabinaka, my name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tabua. We love Today FM in Tabua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tawenga Vengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music in Today FM, in Malak Island. Today FM rock.
Today's hit music.
In the news tonight, first ever children's cardiac hospital to be built in Suva. Taxis to have color-coded number plates soon. An online safety bill to apply to future cases.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Smith.
The first ever children's cardiac hospital in the South Pacific will be built in Suva. This was confirmed by the Sai Prema Foundation at the opening of the Sai Medical Center in Asese, Suva today. Ali Kimbia with the story.
Happy birthday to you.
It was a fitting birthday present for the Prime Minister as it comes with his desire to deliver the best for all Fijians, the construction of the first cardiac hospital for our children free of charge.
The Sai Prema Foundation Fiji, in association with the Sri Satya Sai Sanjeevani Hospital India, will begin the immediate planning and development of a children's heart hospital next to the medical center.
Opening the new Sai Prema Medical Center in Monikau, the Prime Minister says Fijians deserve quality health care.
Really, there's no more noble pursuit than giving our people the tools and resources they need to enjoy healthier and happier lives. That is the view of my government, and I'm very glad to see that commitment shared so strongly by the Sai Prema Foundation.
In the last 18 months, the foundation has provided free heart surgery to 40 children, bringing comfort and peace to families.
And the achievement of the Sai Prema Foundation is not only limited to this new medical center. Your charitable work throughout the country has already touched the lives of thousands of our people.
The Sai Prema Foundation says it's going to help Fijians on the path towards healthy living and save more lives. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
A vehicle owner has been fined for using a fake number plate. It was revealed by the Land Transport Authority this afternoon after the fake plate was discovered by officials this week when they caught two vehicles using the same plate. Anna Ravulo with more details.
The driver of the vehicle was questioned by the LTA and fined for using a fake number plate. The fake plate was LT5269 and the LTA says it's highly likely it was manufactured overseas.
While the taxi itself was a registered vehicle, the number plate was made by an external vendor, somebody from outside. Whoever is doing this must be reminded that this is a criminal offense and can lead to serious consequences.
This has prompted the LTA to take proactive measures and investigate others that may be using a fake number plate.
The authority would also like to announce the introduction of zone coding number plates for taxis. The zonal coding of number plates is expected to increase transparency and ease enforcement operations.
All taxis running in the Northern Division will have a shade of orange, lime green in the Central Division and sky blue for the Western Division. Under the Vehicle Registration and Construction Act 2000, drivers who modify their vehicles illegally, which includes number plate, can be fined up to $1,000 or even be imprisoned. Anna Ravulo, FBC News.
A man in his 50s is dead after he was involved in a car accident near the Votor level roundabout in Nadi this morning. Police say the man was on the footpath at around 6 in the morning when the driver of a white van heading towards Nadi town allegedly swerved his vehicle and hit him. The man was rushed to the Nadi hospital but was pronounced dead later. It is also understood the driver did not stop after the accident, however informed his company manager about the incident. The driver is in police custody. The proposed legislation on the online safety bill will be applicable to future cases of harmful online behaviour when it comes into effect. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights today clarified the issue in regards to a recent case where explicit photos of a 14-year-old student from a prominent school in Nausori were shared online. Maggie Boyle reports under the online safety bill, those found guilty can face up to 5 years imprisonment or a $10,000 fine or both penalties.
The committee took consultations on both the Registration of Sex Offenders Bill and the Online Safety Bill to the north today.
Next Friday we will be in Lotoka consulting on both the bills, the Online Safety Bill and the Registration of Sex Offenders Bill, where we hope to seek views of the public on their input on what they think about the two bills.
Sudhakar says there have been calls to fast-track the Online Safety Bill in light of recent cases of explicit content involving children.
Last week we had nude pictures of a student of some prominent school that was also circulated, and there was one of two teenage children engaged in sexual activity in a school in Nadi, and which was being circulated on Facebook and social media. So the general public is concerned that it could ruin people's lives.
He clarified the proposed legislation will only be applicable to future cases.
There's no provision in the bill as yet for retrospective effect. So what has happened, but going forward there'll be sanctions.
The committee will table their reports on both bills in next month's Parliament sitting. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
A father and his two sons have been sentenced by the Suva High Court after being convicted of manslaughter. The trio were handed separate sentences by Judge Justice Riaz Hamza this afternoon. Simoni Tudila Sr. has been sentenced to 7 years, 9 months imprisonment with a non-parole period of 4 years, 9 months, while his two sons, Simoni Tudila Jr. and Epeli Tudila, will serve a term of 5 years and 9 months each with a non-parole period of 3 years and 9 months. Meanwhile, the trio's accomplice, Alipate Namoto, who was found guilty of 1 count of assault causing actual bodily harm, has been sentenced to 12 months, which is suspended for 3 years. The four were convicted of causing the death of 21-year-old Siti Veningali at a service station in Nakasi in February 2016. Complaints received by the police in line with political agendas will be investigated, says Police Commissioner Brigadier General Siti Veningilio. He highlighted this in relation to a Provisional National Federation Party candidate who made comments about the Speaker of the House on social media. The provisional candidate made comments when NFP leader Biman Prasad was suspended for 10 minutes during a parliament sitting last week for breaching protocols against the Speaker. Gilio has also confirmed they have not received any complaints in regards to this.
If there is a criminal element to it, we will do our part in investigating it. If it's reported to us, we are duty-bound to investigate. If there has been any breach of the law, we will deal with that.
Still to come, police work with Chinese counterparts to counter hard drugs. And 539 Fijians receive SME grants. Stay with us.
Bula, kera mai singatoka, kera ndo tali taka na varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Uti kombinasyon mo tikola ndo tali taka na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Kaya kuyazo sila tali, nagurara may naomanyi, nandunga. Gitu tali tajiri ang gitu pinasibale, nagudurong varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti na ponga ni BNN.
The police force is working round the clock to crack down on hard drugs from entering the country and track the culprits selling these drugs locally. Police Commissioner Brigadier General Siti Veningilio says new drugs such as methamphetamine continue to grow every day. Catherine Krishna reports.
The increasing number of hard drugs in the country is a huge concern, and the Fiji police force is now working with their Chinese counterparts to encounter this.
Looking at areas for training opportunities, especially in the area of synthetic drugs, where we can work together. They've offered us training for 20 of our personnel. So I'm visiting that. It's an area of concern for us, drugs.
Brigadier General Siti Veningiliho says he will visit China next week to discuss more about the partnership. He says it's time to up their game and train officers who can deal with the growing issue.
The 20 they've offered to fund that for them to be trained in China. And that is in particular to synthetic drugs, methamphetamine in particular, identifying of precursors, those little labs that they can use to cook at and investigations of such things.
Gilio says China has assisted Fiji in terms of training and equipping the force over the years. He says isolation of islands in Fiji is also a worry, as this can be one of the reasons drugs are entering the country. Catherine Krishna, FBC News.
A 21-year-old man who was alleged to have defiled a 14-year-old student last year appeared in the Nausori Magistrates Court this afternoon. Kinichochi Rongida Turangalailai, who works as a DJ, has been charged with 1 count of defilement and 1 count of abduction. The incident was brought to light following a viral social media post which had pictures of the alleged accused and the victim. Police prosecutor Shailen Prasad requested that Turangalailai be further remanded. Defense counsel Vani Ravono pointed out in court that the incident happened last year, and he questioned police on why his client wasn't arrested then at the time of the alleged offence. The case will be recalled on Monday at the Nausori Magistrates Court. Over 1,300 members of the Fiji Nursing Association are casting their votes today and tomorrow. Association General Secretary Salanieta Matiavi says 18 positions are up for elections are the National Council members of various branches around the country. Matiavi says the Fijian Elections Office is conducting their election over the 2 days and will provide the tally tomorrow during their annual general meeting in Lami. FEO Industrial Elections Coordinator Aisea Wainingolo says 10 officials are conducting the election process. He adds, for the first time, the FEO is conducting trade union elections through electronic voting machines.
The last positions were elected last 2 years. So they normally complete their 2 years, but they are given a second term. They can go for another 2 years to complete the 2 terms that they are eligible to be members of the council, as our constitution states.
These machines are user-friendly. One of the recommendations that the union members had requested is for the photos to be on the ballot paper. So that is why we had introduced these machines, because it would be easy for them to make their choices as the photos are there and their names.
More than 500 recipients of the small and micro enterprise sector received grants from the government at the Giramet Centre in Lautoka today. The grants will assist recipients to either start a business or expand their existing business as a testimony of the government's commitment towards the sector. Felipe Nakaso has more.
It was all smiles for these business owners receiving their grants to boost their business.
I'm very happy for receiving a grant from the government today, and it's so very important to all the families, especially in our small business.
The government says they will continue to support small business owners in the country.
Since the inception in 2015 of this particular program, the Fijian government has distributed a total of $17.3 million to 17,970 recipients around the country. And the continuous implementation of the micro and small business grant portrays the government's commitment in improving the MSME sector in Fiji and also fulfilling the promise in ensuring improved and sustained living standards for all Fijians.
The grants will benefit not only the recipients, but also their families.
This is what my family relies. I have kids to send to school, and this is what all I gain from this business. I support my family and my kids for their education.
Meanwhile, 69 recipients also received grant assistance for cyclone rehabilitation purposes with the aim to rebuild their businesses that were either partly or severely damaged after the tropical cyclone Josie and Kenny. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
The remains of the 2 New Zealand Defence Force personnel that were exhumed from the military cemetery at the Reservoir Road in Suva are currently awaiting forensic identification process. The Republic of the Fiji Military Forces is providing logistics and ceremonial support in the repatriation of the 2 NZDF personnel's remains. The 2 servicemen buried at the military cemetery are Flight Lieutenant George Thomas Beban and leading aircraftman Ralph Henry Scott, who both passed away respectively in 1956 and in 1960. The exhumation was done by the Corrections Department, and the remains will be handed over to the NZDF by the RFMF before it leaves for its final resting place in Aotearoa, New Zealand next month. More than $23,000 worth of care equipment was handed over to the Frank Hilton Hostel in Suva today. The handover was made by Minister for Women and Children Meriseni Vuniwanga, who says this is a step towards transitioning the hostel to make it user-friendly for children with disabilities. The care equipment includes supportive mattresses and hoist and slings. Vuniwanga says while the government provides financial assistance to the organization for daily operation, it is good to see others giving a helping hand. The equipment was given through a partnership between Goodman Fielder, TFL, Suva City Council, and the Hegi Charity Chest. In sports later, Fiji Sevens is on for the series title chase, but we now join Rachel with business.
Thanks, Jackie. Good evening, and coming up in business tonight. Slow growth projected for agriculture sector. And in growing Fiji, new Fiji Revenue and Customs Service office opens in Labasa. Stay with us.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1। इट्स सो हॉट।
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट।
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफरी से मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट। आई लव मिर्ची एफएम।
हमें स्पिन टोटो ताबुआ के मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट।
Leading business tonight, the recent spate of natural disasters poses a drag on the growth for this year's, particularly in the agriculture sector, says the Reserve Bank of Fiji. Governor Arif Ali says while the supply side setbacks are expected to increase the prices of agriculture produce in the coming months from the current inflation outcome of 2.6% last month, inflationary pressures are expected to subside by the year end. Despite these recent developments, the outlook for RBF's twin monetary policy object remains intact. Ali says the recent accommodative monetary policy stance is supportive of the rehabilitation efforts post-tropical cyclone Josie and Kenny. And we now join Sharon from HFC Bank with the latest from the financial market.
Thank you. Let's have a look at the major news in the foreign exchange market. Global equities advanced, lifted by a round of solid quarterly earnings in Europe and the United States. But the euro lost some ground as the president of the European Central Bank hailed solid economic growth but kept interest rates unchanged. A drop in the 10-year US Treasury yield below the 3% mark also helped equities. Kiwi failed to react noticeably to New Zealand trade balance figures as their trade balance printed a deficit surprise of 86 million New Zealand dollars. Meanwhile, the Aussie showed only little movement despite their better than expected producer price index. The data released today showed the inflation as measured by the PPI rose 0.5%, beating the estimate of 0.4. We are expecting GDP numbers from the UK and the US, so let's see how the traders react to these releases later tonight. And that's all for this week. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for that update, Sharon. Taking a look at today's currency exchange rate set this morning for the Fijian dollar. Well, it's been a mixed day again, with our dollar making gains against the Chinese yuan, the Aussie dollar, the PNG kina and the euro. However, it weakened against the US dollar, the kiwi and the yen. As for the commodities market, it was all down, with oil prices closing at $68.12 a barrel. Gold closed at $1,318 an ounce, and silver followed suit, closing at $16.54 an ounce. And in growing Fiji tonight, the north is an up-and-coming developing economic region, with Labasa having alone 180,000 taxpayers. These taxpayers can now expect better services with the opening of the newly renovated Fiji Revenue and Customs Service office in Labasa. Eleanor Tarangaview reports.
Labasa has a total of 5,831 registered businesses. 55% are companies, 39% are partnerships, and 6% cooperatives. Collectively, they generate $6.7 million annually to the Fijian economy.
It is in recognition of this growing economic significance and need to better facilitate customer needs here in the north that we have invested our resources to upgrade and renovate our office here in Labasa.
The office was officially opened this morning by Fiji Revenue and Customs Services CEO Visvanath Das and Divisional Planning Officer Northern Urayan Rainima.
You are from Bua or from the Kaunrobe, Tabeoni or the interior of Maduata. I guarantee you that your queries, doubts and expectations on tax or border issues will transform into satisfactory once you exit.
With the opening of the refurbished office, the Fiji Revenue and Customs Services is encouraging taxpayers to voluntarily comply with their tax obligations.
Revenue and Customs is here to administer the tax and customs laws, and it is our duty to ensure fairness and consistency in application of the law, thus creating a level playing field for all taxpayers.
The Fiji Revenue and Customs Services will soon implement a number of technological changes with regards to the payment of taxes and improving its processes and timelines. Eleanor Turangibiu, FBC News.
And that's a wrap from Business This Week. Now to sports. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Thanks, Rachel, and good evening. In sports tonight, team named for Singapore Sevens, and Bati players to receive payment soon. This and more coming up.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकु रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1। इट्स सो हॉट।
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट।
हाय, मैं संध्या नारियल रेफ्रिजरेटर से मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट। आई लव मिर्ची एफएम।
हमें स्पिन टको ताबुआ के मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
PJ Airways Sevens coach Gareth Baber has named his final 13-member squad to play at the Singapore Sevens, which starts tomorrow afternoon. The side sees debutant Keponi Paul and Waisea Nadungu making their way into the final cut. Mesulame Kunavula, Kalioni Nasoko, Isake Katunimbau, Siboloni Modenadangi and Tusova Kurunimbili have been named in the forwards. The backline sees Aminoni Nasila Sila, Alessio Nanduba, Jerry Tuwai and Eroni Sau. Meanwhile, Tambandamu playmaker Terry Tamani is the 13th player. Fiji remains the only team to have won more than one tournament on the series this season, with 3 titles in the bag, 3 tournaments to go and 3 points behind leader South Africa. Coach Gareth Baber and his men want nothing less than a 3rd series title in a row by claiming Singapore. Meli Tavanga reports.
The Fiji Sevens side is still up for the series title chase. However, coach Gareth Baber says they will have to do well first in Singapore tomorrow and then the remaining series.
I suppose a little bit more special when there's a run for first place. We're not taking anything for granted. Obviously, we've got New Zealand behind us in 3rd as well. So, we've got a huge amount of work to do to make sure that we're producing the rugby that we have produced on times this year.
Meanwhile, 28-year-old Eroni Sau is expected to come out firing this weekend. The Sledgehammer had an outstanding performance in the Hong Kong tournament, where he won the Impact Player. He made 21 tackles, 10 line breaks, 6 offloads and 16 carries.
There's a lot of improvement every game. We forgot about what's already happened in the past, especially the tournament we won and the ones we lost. We always have things to learn and things to work hard on in different areas inside the field and outside the field. And always working hard on every tournament as it comes.
Fiji is second with 123 points, 3 points behind leaders South Africa in the series standings. Fiji has so far won gold in Hamilton, bronze in Las Vegas, gold in Vancouver and a gold medal in Hong Kong. Meli Tawanga, FBC Sports.
Following its Commonwealth Games victory, the All Black Sevens hope to take that momentum back into the World Rugby 7 Series in Singapore this weekend. The Brisbane Broncos have beaten the Rabbitohs in round 8 of the NRL last night. Broncos winger Corey Oates leading the charge in a thrilling 24-20 win. The Fiji National Rugby League has finally received funds to be paid to Fiji Mbati players for its World Cup efforts. After a long-running debacle between the FNRL and its World Cup players, the matter is expected to be fully resolved by next week. FNRL Chief Executive Timothy Nalemba says they have been given the green light by all parties to release payments.
Just we've confirmed receipt of the funds from the International Rugby League Federation. They've now sent it to the account that was set up by FNRL, and we've confirmed the receipt of that yesterday. And we have got clearance from Africa and also the Reserve Bank of Fiji to actually disburse the amount.
In today's play of the day, Antoine Griezmann scored late for 10-man Atletico Madrid to draw 1-1 with Arsenal in the first leg of the Europa League semi-final this morning. Griezmann's 82nd minute equaliser followed some clumsy defending by Arsenal. That's it from sports this evening. Angie joins you later on with weather. And in the world of the weird and the not so wonderful, a former cop who's been on the run for more than 4 decades for 12 murders and 50 rapes has been caught. Details coming up.
Bula, kera mai singatoka, kera ndo tali taka na varorong na radio Fiji 1 and the moi viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kombinasyon ko lang ndo tali taka na radio Fiji 1 and the moi viti.
Kaya kuya do silil tali, nagurara may naomanyi, nandunga. Gitu tali tagi yang gitu pinasibale, nagudurong varorong na radio Fiji 1.
New media tonight, instead of letting your old phones collect dust in your desk drawer, you can put them to good use. Aside from selling them for a fraction of what you bought them for, you can turn it into a baby monitor or dedicated video camera. But one of the more useful ways to breathe new life into your old phone is to convert it into a wireless security camera. And it's weather time now with Angie.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. Yes, it's finally Friday and it has been a wonderful one too, with extreme sunshine, our personal favorite. Well, hoping for a great weekend weather as well so you and I could enjoy. But taking a quick look in the west for today, it was also beautiful. The sun was so adoring. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, it was gorgeous and humid. And up north, sunshine never disappoints, so hope you're taking those dips in the cool blue sea. At sea, southeast winds gusting up to 50 knots with moderate seas. For the tides, low tide tonight will be at 10:23 p.m. with high tide at 4:53 a.m. Sunrise will be at 6:19. For tomorrow, it's Saturday. Now most of us must be looking forward. The weather will be just like today with light afternoon showers. Tomorrow's temps, majority centers will be moderate in the low 30s. And looking further on to Sunday, great weather coming our way, so it looks like a picnic day. And that's all from the FBC Weather World. Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fiji on Pulse tonight, we asked, what do you think of the PM's comments on the lies about the government on social media?
It's not a very good thing to give false information about the government in the media, because nobody likes it. It's not good.
I believe the Prime Minister had made a good statement, but as Fijians, we shouldn't believe, for the lies has been going around through the social media.
Some politicians will lie to get what they want, but I think at the end of the day, people should not be fooled and should choose the best to lead our government.
Yes, these lies have been a major occurrence on social media, and I think we have our own best party to choose so that we can move forward.
People shouldn't believe everything on social media.
People should have common sense and not to believe everything is written in the social media.
And in the world of the weird and the very not so wonderful, an ex-US cop is in custody suspected of at least a dozen murders and scores of rapes. The crimes took place in California in the 70s and 80s when the killer was named the Golden State Killer. Recapping the main stories, first ever children's cardiac hospital to be built in Suva. Taxis to have color-coded number plates soon. An online safety bill to apply to future cases. Now for these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question for this week, we are asking, do you think more should be invested to develop athletes to meet international standards? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, our shot of the day sent in by the FBC West team. Road engineer Higgins Fiji directing traffic at the busy Namaka Junction in Nadi while the team installed new traffic lights. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. You can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your FBC News for tonight. From the team and I, have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Bye for now.
Wrong on the radio Fiji 1 and the Moiviti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kombinasyon ko untuk talita na radio Fiji 1 kina Dombili.
Kaya kuyaga sila tale. Nagurara may naomanyi nandunga. Gitu talita gini ang gitu Venezuela po menguntur rongo. Barong na radio Fiji 1 nandu Moiviti.
Na radio Fiji 1 nandu Moiviti na bonga ni BNN.